Point Pleasant Park's Path to Recovery, Secondary Succession in an Urban Forest, by Elham, Joseph, and Jassem. Succession is the change in an ecological system after a disturbance. This disturbance can be any sort of event that leads to a change in the environment and a change in the ecological communities. It can be primary, where a new region of substrate is created for colonization, for example, a glacier melting, uncovering new ground. Or it can be secondary, where a disturbance causes change to the substrate but does not create new substrate, for example, a fire. Hurricane Juan is an example of a disturbance that led to secondary succession. In 2003, this devastating storm hit Halifax, Nova Scotia, and destroyed 70% of the forest in Point Pleasant Park. Point Pleasant Park is an urban forest park in Halifax. More specifically, it is an Acadian forest, meaning it maintains a rich diversity of many hardwood and softwood trees, like red maple or red spruce. Hurricane Juan was able to cause such damage due to the even-aged nature of the tree species and the lack of underbrush and debris due to human removal. Point Pleasant Park is also known by its Mi'kmaq name, seen on the slide. This name means spirit place or the place of spirits and is a place of gathering during the first full moon of the spring. The objectives of this study were to study changes in overall community, the dominant species diversity, and community metrics after the devastating Hurricane Juan. We did this by measuring the size in centimeters of the trees and their density per 400 meters squared in predetermined plots, and the percent ground coverage of ground flora and comparing it to data collected since 2004. Diameter at breast height is used to determine changes in the overall community. Red spruce and red maple densities are used to determine dominant species density, and the Shannon diversity is a measure of community metrics. There are 4 null hypotheses that we are testing, which can be seen on the left of the slide. They each state that there is no relationship between the variable of choice and time. If we reject our null hypotheses, then we accept our alternate hypotheses, listed on the right, which each state that there is a relationship between the variable of choice and time.
Welcome to our methods section. Our study focuses on understanding forest ecology in Point Pleasant Park by collecting ecological data on trees and ground flora. This image is a map of Point Pleasant Park with indicating 6 specific sites. These sites were selected because they were the most impacted by 2003 Hurricane Juan. Our study preparation and materials, we used 1 meter squared DBH tape, wooden 1 meter squared quadrats, brightly colored object, and personal protective equipment. First, we started with trees. We measured DBH for all trees with a diameter of 2.5 centimeters or greater. Following industry standards, this helps to estimate wood volume and allows for comparison with other studies. For ground flora, we used 1 meter squared quadrats to sample the percentage cover of each species. To ensure randomness, we placed the quadrats by throwing a brightly colored object over our shoulder, marking the center of each sampling area. This process was repeated 12 times to capture a representative sample of species coverage across the site. We used regression analysis in our study to help us identify long-term trends in tree size and forest composition over the years. It allowed us to manage gaps in data due to events like hurricanes by providing a clear trend line that smooths these interruptions. With regression, we could quantify the rate of change in tree size, which is essential for understanding how quickly forest is maturing. Additionally, this analysis enabled us to make predictions about future forest conditions. This study aimed to investigate whether a relationship exists between tree DBH and time within the forest community at Point Pleasant Park. Starting in 2004, annual DBH data were collected from 6 impacted sites, with certain years excluded due to external factors. A linear regression analysis was conducted on DBH values over time, yielding an R-squared value of 0.1753 and p-value of 9.1 times 10 to the minus 5, indicating statistically significant but weak positive trend. Although the relationship is significant, the low R-squared value suggests that we reject the null hypothesis. How has the forest community changed over time? Since Hurricane Juan in 2003, the forest community at Point Pleasant Park has shifted significantly. The DBH data shows varied tree size due to canopy gaps created by the hurricane, allowing early successional species to dominate. Over time, these gaps have gradually filled, reflecting on the forest successional stages. Why did this change occur? These changes occurred because the open canopy enabled light-demanding species to establish quickly. According to Environmental Ground Disturbance Survey in 2004, as the forest matures, shade-tolerant species are beginning to emerge. What can we predict will happen as the forest moves forward to a climax community? We can predict that the DBH values will stabilize. Why is that? The process aligns with natural succession, where early species are gradually replaced by those adapted to a mature shaded environment, leading to a resilient, balanced ecosystem.
This study aimed to explore how the density of red maple trees and the passage of time relate to each other, examining how the forest community at Point Pleasant Park evolved after Hurricane Juan through secondary succession processes. To investigate this, we looked into the red maple density data gathered from 2004 to 2023 at 6 locations in the park, and used a regression model to analyze whether there was a noticeable pattern developing over time. The data in Figure 2 illustrates how red maple density has been changing over time, with a trend over 2 decades, from 2004 to 2023, with a modest correlation of 16%. The number of red maple trees per 400 meters squared went up from none in 2004 to 143 in 2023 at Point Pleasant Park, due to the growth of successional species in density, indicating a significant increase over time and rejecting the null hypothesis that there is no relationship between red maple density and time. We also did the same study to explore how the density of red spruce trees changes over time. The analysis conducted in Figure 3 for red spruce revealed a positive trend of 0.34 individuals per year, with an R-squared value of 0.12 and a p-value of 0.0009. Red spruce population density witnessed an increase from 13 individuals per 400 meters squared in 2004 to 27 individuals per same area in 2023, showing a gradual but consistent upward trend, and rejecting the null hypothesis that there is no relationship between red spruce density and time. In 2004, red maple was absent, but by 2023 it had become the prevalent species at 143 individuals per 400 meters squared. This rapid increase aligns with Turkson, who noted that early successional species like red maple thrive post-disturbance. Our data shows a clear upward trend, slope of 2.57, p-value of 0.0002, rejecting the null hypothesis. Red spruce increased from 13 individuals in 2004 to 27 in 2023, supported by Turkson's findings. This slower growth reflects its role as a shade-tolerant, mid to late successional species. This pattern aligns with the forest progression, rejecting the null hypothesis for red spruce as well. Future prediction: as the forest matures, red maple may stabilize or decline due to its shade intolerance, while red spruce is likely to dominate as shade levels increase, consistent with succession theory. Understanding these successional changes helps inform urban forest management in places like Point Pleasant Park. Observing red maple's growth aids reforestation strategies, while supporting red spruce contributes to long-term ecosystem stability and resilience.
To identify whether time played a role in the Shannon diversity during succession in Point Pleasant Park after Hurricane Juan, we used regression analysis to explore the connection between the two. There was a significant positive relationship between Shannon diversity, H prime, and time in years during succession in Point Pleasant Park, where R squared is equal to 0.34, the F statistic is equal to 38.8, and the p-value is 2.3 times 10 to the negative 8. These results allow us to reject the null hypothesis that there is no significant relationship between time and the Shannon diversity. This means that the Shannon diversity in Point Pleasant Park can be estimated using the regression equation H prime equals 0.061 years minus 120.9. Shannon diversity has been shown to increase over time after a large disturbance, like after Hurricane Juan hit Point Pleasant Park. This is because after a large disturbance, only species that have the capabilities to survive such a large disturbance will persist. These species are the heavily K-selected species, as R-selected species are not resistant to large disturbance like these, since they don't have the proper characteristics to survive. As the forest approaches the climax community, Shannon diversity will level off. The diversity classified by the Shannon Index is quite high after a disturbance, but tends to be quite level in ecosystems where there has been low disturbances. This is because after a large disturbance like Hurricane Juan occurs, secondary succession allows a proper environment for many of the small, disturbance-intolerant species to come in and colonize. However, after some time, the larger dominant species will be able to come back and populate the area. Once they've done this, the pioneer species will die out or reach their own equilibrium within the system. Then, the park will result in a very even distribution of large trees and their own small vegetation types that are able to coexist with them.
The forest in Point Pleasant Park, known as the Acadian Forest, is currently in a mid-successional stage, a transition towards stability and maturity. with a mixture of species like red maple and mid-successional species like red spruce. The rise in red maple density following Hurricane Guan, along with the gradual increase in red spruce, reflects the forest's progression towards balance and full growth. This pattern mirrors the dynamics seen in ecosystems where key species shape interactions and the community structures, as observed by Annie Baba. As a park, Point Pleasant faces challenges impacting its natural development. Soil compaction from foot traffic inhibits undergrowth and reduces biodiversity, while management strategies like species removal and targeted planting may extend the mid-successional phase compared to less disturbed forests. Albert Marshall's concept of two-eyed seeing offers a framework for Point Pleasant restoration, combining Western science with indigenous knowledge for mutual gain. Two-eyed seeing enables the establishment of a resilient, balanced ecosystem that respects the park's natural development into a mature forest, while honoring both cultural and ecological viewpoints. We extend our gratitude to Dr. Schmidt for their invaluable guidance, to the Department of Biology for providing resources, and to the Point Pleasant Park Management for their role in preserving the park. We are also grateful to our TA Abigail for their support throughout the project. We appreciate our group members' collaboration and are thankful to the Mi'kmaq Nation for their teachings that have enriched our ecological perspective.